So what an amazing evening it is, probably the best evening I've seen this year so far. And I've come out to the coast, out to the beach to hopefully capture some nice images as the sun begins to set. I'm looking to try and get some images with some nice colour in the sky. Unfortunately the tide is coming in, and you'll have just seen me racing against the tide to try and capture my first image. Not that there's any wonderful colour in the sky yet, but there was an area of sand, an area of beach where the patterns the waves were making and the texture of the sand really caught my eye. And to be honest, I don't know if I caught the image that I wanted. It was such a rush to try and get it. The tide was coming in far too quick for my liking to be able to set up my shot and capture it. So I may have just got it, I may not have. If I have, you'll see an image that I like. If you don't see an image, you'll know I just couldn't make it in time. But that's the challenges. I'd have far rather had the tide going out, but it's such a nice evening I had to come out, so there's no way I can change how the tide is. But anyway, I'm going to explore a little bit, see if anything else catches my eye, and hopefully get some nice images. So I've been walking along the beach looking for anything that interests me, seen a few compositions, but it's quite challenging due to the tide coming in so quickly. Compositions that exist 1 second aren't there a few seconds later. So I've grabbed a few shots handheld, which looked quite good at the time. There was no point setting up a tripod. They changed so quickly. By the time I got everything set up, the composition would have been gone. So I'm keeping walking along. I'm seeing something off in the distance that interests me. Whether or not it'll still look good when I get there due to the changing shape of the sea, due to the tide coming in, I don't know, but I'm going to go up and have a look. But at the moment the sun's out, there's some wonderful colour in the sky, but there is a few bits of cloud that it could potentially go behind, and if that happens things will change. But I'm going to keep walking along this very long beach and keeping my eyes open. So the light is now happening. There's a wonderful sunset. I've taken a few handheld shots. The light is changing so quickly, and I've been picking off things in the distance. I've been really taken with the look of the hills in the distance and the way the light is. There is absolutely nothing along this beach of interest in terms of rocks or even washed up pieces of wood or anything like that. There is some much further to my left, but they're too much up the beach to be of interest to me at the moment. So the shot that I saw earlier on, by the time I walked up, it wasn't really going to be the way I wanted because the tide had came further in. The tide is now about fully in and it's almost starting to go back out. So I'm going to go up and try a variation of the composition I saw from the distance earlier on. I'm going to use my 70 to 200 lens, go for quite a minimal shot and a long exposure as well. So it could turn out quite good. The best colour in the sky is not going to be behind my subject, but there's still some nice interesting shades, so we'll see how this works out. So at the moment I'm doing a long exposure, 2 minutes 10 seconds of a pier with something on the end of it. Unfortunately I don't think it's a lighthouse, but it's something of interest anyway. And we're just starting to get a little bit of colour in the sky behind it. Unfortunately not as much nice colour as over to my right. But I already got some shots from over there earlier, so we're going to try this and see how it turns out. So I've now captured my final image for today. I also switched to my 24 to 70mm lens, switched it into portrait orientation to try and capture some more colour in the sky, which was quite high up above the pier. So it'll be interesting to see which of those two shots I prefer, the long exposure in landscape orientation or the normal shot in portrait. In the portrait shot I also tried to capture some of the movement in the waves as well, which were looking rather nice. As the evening progressed, the tide changed, it changed the shape of the shoreline, and it's just a case of going with the flow and capturing things at the correct moment. But I hope you've enjoyed watching. Thanks so much for your time, and hopefully I'll see you in my next vlog.